I'm Bridget. Welcome to my kitchen where I make family-friendly food that's wholesome and tastes good. Today we're making an easy apple tart for the pastry challenged. I know a lot of people are intimidated by pastry, so this recipe lets you make an apple pie or an apple tart with store-bought all butter pastry. Let me show you how. For the store-bought puff pastry, be sure to buy the all butter variety and thaw it according to package directions. We're going to unroll it, but then we're going to discard the paper that it's wrapped in because that paper has a little bit of moisture in it that we don't want. Instead, we're going to put it on a fresh piece of parchment paper. Once it's all straightened out, we're going to score it along the edge about 3/4 of an inch from the edge. Once we're finished scoring it, we'll put it back in the freezer while we're prepping the apples, and that will let the butter get nice and cold so our pastry is extra flaky when it's cooked. Peeling apples with a vegetable peeler is the easiest apple trick I have ever learned. So instead of peeling them with a knife where you end up losing a lot of the flesh, with an apple peeler, it's just the peel that gets shaved off. Plus it's quick. I usually use a combination of Cortland apples and Macintosh apples for my tarts and pies, but you can really use any kind of apple. Tart apples are usually great. Firm apples like Granny Smith are great for pies and tarts also. We only need 3 apples for this recipe, and we're going to slice them thinly. So we want to slice them probably 1/4 of an inch thick. Now we're going to put our sliced apples in a bowl and toss them with 1/3 of a cup of sugar and a tablespoon of molasses. You'll notice I don't even use cinnamon in this tart recipe. I find that the molasses gives a nice kind of tangy flavor, so the recipe needs nothing else. Before we put the apples on the pastry, we're going to give it a little bit of an egg wash, which is just an egg yolk that's been mixed with 1 teaspoon of water. So to separate your egg, you can buy little contraptions that make it extra easy, or you can just practice doing it on your own. It's a bit of just passing the yolk back and forth between the 2 halves of the shell. There you go. We'll add that with just a bit of water. For the next step, we're going to put our egg wash on our icy cold pastry. Now, if you don't have a freezer large enough to put a whole cookie sheet in, you can just put your pastry in the fridge while you prep your apples. We put the egg wash on the pastry to keep the pastry from getting soggy while it cooks. Now that our pastry is well coated, it's ready for our apples. And also I have preheated the oven to 375 degrees because you want the oven to be good and hot as soon as you put the tart in. Try to keep the apples within your score line. We're going to spread them out in a fairly even layer. If you want, you can actually line up the apples in tidy rows. It just depends on the look of the finished tart that you want. We're going to bake this on the middle rack for 30 to 35 minutes at 375. While the tart is baking, we're going to prepare our butter mixture. And it's just a generous tablespoon of butter mixed with a tablespoon of molasses, and then we'll melt those together. At the 25-minute mark, we're going to pull the tart out and brush it with a butter mixture and give it a sprinkling of sugar. And then it goes back in the oven until it's a deep golden brown. For a nice presentation, you can cut your apple tart down the middle and then cut it into rectangular slices. Now, if you have ice cream, you can serve this with ice cream. You could serve it with whipped cream or creme fraiche. And you can really make the sizes, the slices, whatever size you want. You don't need to be a pastry wizard to make a beautiful apple tart. Store-bought all butter pastry is perfect for this rustic apple dessert.